I want to talk about Jean Grey and how this version of the character is being perceived by the general public, because what I have found, and I've mentioned it several times during this episode, is that what Spider-Man Brand New Day seems to prove to me is that if a movie is made really, really well all around, certain elements that may not actually work upon second viewing don't actually bother people as much, because it's not about individual aspects of the plot. It's not about inconsistencies within certain characters' personalities. It's all about how the movie made you feel.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Jean Grey in this movie?
So I really like Jean Grey as a character in general, and this was quite a different. It was quite a different version of her than I think that I expected. I expected her to be obviously on the younger side when we started getting the reports that Sadie Sink was being casted as her. I kind of figured that she was going to.
I like this new Spider-Man movie, but it is not even close to my favorite of the Spider-Man property. Out of Spider-Man movies, it's pretty good. But out of Spider-Man as a whole, it was meh.
Be more of a misfit. I didn't expect them to take this angle with her. I personally believed going,
it kind of leaves some plot holes. We'll get into it.
The movie, after a lot of time had passed, that there was going to be a different, bigger, baddie, and that she was going to help Spider-Man at some point. Maybe she was manipulated by a bigger enemy,
or
a bigger.
Yeah, the big bad ended up being just some dude.
Villain, and that she was going to maybe come to her senses 3/4 of the way through the movie
after she's done committed terrorism multiple times and killed a bunch of people,
and that they were going to sort of team up.
I thought okay, so here's the thing. From everything I've been told, the actor who plays the head of damage control is really, really good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But they didn't give him much to do in this movie. He's there, but he doesn't go. He goes villain, kind of, but not full villain in any meaningful way. He does a little.
He's just a corpo, really.
Little bit at the end when Jean Grey is in the chamber and he's turning up the pressure and all that stuff. It's there, kind of, but compared to other villains of the past, it's not really fleshed out all that well, so you don't really feel like you're given this actual villain that fills in the gap there.
And they teased us with the real villains at the beginning of the movie, and then they don't ever really show again.
Thing is despite she has tons of stuff that is blatantly very, very villainous that needs to be answered for. So
she controls a man, and then he walks into a street, and then he gets hit by a car.
Yeah, I saw people that were like, well, you don't know what she saw in his head. He could have been a pedophile or something. Well, we don't know that either. They don't know that. They weren't thinking about that. They just had him kill a random old white homeless dude. And people are just projecting what they think the character could have been thinking.
I was shocked that Spider-Man, I know that he was having problems with his power. I understand he was having problems with his abilities, but I thought that he was going to save him and be able to stop him, because he did nothing but walk.
Dude, yeah, that was another thing people were saying. Well, he was having problems with his powers. Bro, they could have written it any way they could. It was just bad writing.
Around during that scene.
Doesn't get addressed again. Violates.
It kind of reminds me about how in Tobey's Spider-Man movies, when he's facing the Green Goblin throws one of his goblin grenades, and then he takes it and he whips it back. It's in the third movie when it's actually his son. It's not the Green Goblin that we all know, it's Harry. And then he whips it back. But in No Way Home, the same thing happens to Peter, and our Peter, the MCU Peter, Tom Holland Spider-Man, he doesn't react to it, and that's what kills Aunt May. So it's in that situation, I can't help but think, oh my god, these other Spider-Men, Andrews and Toby's, they would have had that situation handled regardless.
Yeah, it's just bad writing. Well, this is a different Spider-Man. I don't care. It's bad writing.
He would have thrown themselves in front of the car to break it and to push that man out of the way. But he doesn't, and that leads to this higher level of tension with Jean that I feel they didn't really need to do, because they didn't go all the way with it. It's the only real on-screen, assumed.
Yeah, I'm tired of having emotional villains where we have to be emotionally connected, and we have to, feel bad for them in a way. Why can't we just have some evil fucking villains?
Death that we actually see, or this like damage that she is truly causing to these people, because otherwise it's basically just threats that she could do something.
Okay, so the other thing that I was talking about, so the Christopher Nolan Batman movies did irreparable damage to how we perceive car chases. If nobody's seen dying, then I guess nobody died. Every time Tumblr went out and destroys half of Gotham and cars flip off bridges, guess no one died, because Alfred comes in, I think in the third movie, goes, "You're lucky nobody," what does he say? It's like, "You're lucky nobody was killed last night," or whatever. Like, fine, whatever. I'm supposed to just buy that nobody died in any of those scenes, right? But you're telling me that nobody died in that tank scene. I don't think that any actual person's buying it. Then there's all sorts of the other stuff. Purple Man controls people or bends people to his will at Marvel, and he's a super evil dude. She violates Peter and MJ by, getting Peter to kiss her, and then...
Yeah, that was the thing that I hated. Out of the whole movie, I hated that the most. I saw it coming from a mile away. As soon as he grabbed her up and started flying around with her, I was like, yeah, she definitely got her mind taken over. No shot.
Whoops, and then throws MJ off the bridge or off the building and stuff like that. She doesn't do just like kind of villainous things. She like enjoys doing the villainous things.
She
and toying
intends for something bad to go wrong, and she does not care.
Hulk is never going to be the same.
Well, her sister died. Okay. If you're evil, you're evil. If you're not, you're not. Once again, it's bad writing, because now they're going to make her a hero.
Right. But that's my issue, is they didn't go all the way. And I wish that they had committed to a bit. Now, I question what their intentions were, like we were talking about a minute ago with the villain, is because...
I know what their intentions were. To make it look good.
It was rumored that Mr. Negative...
They didn't need to make it make sense. It just needs to look good.
Was going to be the big baddie of this, but Jean Grey was going to in some way be a part of this movie. She was just going to be introduced, but they threw that out. Now, in the movie, there are actually these symbols around that we do not have, that are like not addressed, and we don't have confirmation of, but that was assumed to be his symbol, but they cut that pretty close to the end of filming because they were like, this just isn't working. We want to put the focus on Jean Grey.
And they gave her redemption too quickly. And Peter excuses her too quickly after everything that she's done. They're basically falling into the WandaVision category where she's traumatized, therefore she can do horrendous things without any consequences being brought to her by the storytellers in this case.
Yes.
The best thing that they could have done here is that she surrenders herself to...
I always think it's funny whenever people try and defend it and they come up with possible reasons for this thing happening, and I'm like, bro, just admit that they wrote themselves into a corner. They're just bad.
I was laughing because I was like, well, she can't be brought in by damage control because they're the baddies now, but she could turn herself in to prison and basically acknowledge that I'm here, my own benevolent nature is why I'm here, because I could escape at any point because I want to atone for my sins. And then Professor X comes in and says, you have a chance at redemption. You can either sit here and wallow, or you can come with me and actively seek your redemption, which, again, gives her a more active role and gets her out of prison. But that's a story we've seen 1,000 times in these types of things, where a character either surrenders themselves or has been brought in and then is, released later as a chance of finding their way back to humanity.
Yeah, I wish that they did that with her as well, where, she helps Peter, she keeps Peter alive and going and breathing, and then after that, she does turn herself in. I think that would have been, even though kind of standard, I think is the best way to say it, and sort of expected, I think that it is better than her just, leaving on a bus and saying bye.
The thing is like, this is a complaint people have in wrestling, which is like, you don't need to overcomplicate things. Sometimes the story that people are expecting is exactly the right story to tell, because it's about how you tell it anyways, and that would have worked perfectly here in this story because every other element of this movie landed perfectly with people.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And of course, they wanted to let her off easy because she was a victim, because she was traumatized, she was wronged by the world, which I think was a very unfortunate thing for them to do because...
Yeah, it's just a character. It's a characterization. They don't know how to make actual people. They just know how to make characters.
They had an opportunity to actually end that movie in a way that really would have enhanced it if you saw her coming to her senses and changing and actively saying, no, I know what I've done. I want to sort of atone for that, and I want to be redeemed, but a longer road of redemption other than 5 minutes of like, yeah, I'm gonna keep him alive, I'm gonna keep Spider-Man alive, and then I'm just gonna leave on the bus, which is it's just so unfortunate. But I don't know if you had seen it, but there was a quote from Amy Pascal saying Destin Daniel Cretton is the reason Jean Grey was included in the movie and why they decided to keep her as like a major focal point of this.
No, what did she say?
So I sent it to you on X, or I can put it in the private chat. Yeah. But basically, she had said that we didn't pick Jean Grey because she was part of the X-Men. We picked Jean Grey because the director came in and said, if you guys want to do a movie that is about the way people feel isolated, even more today than ever, because of our technology and everything else, and not just young people, but everybody, but it has afflicted young people so much. If we can do a movie that is about how reaching out and making a connection to someone is the most important thing you can do, then I understand how to do this movie, and that's why they thought it would be a great idea for the villain to be a teenager. And
all of the things that are bad about this movie are virtue signals, or they stem from virtue signaling, that kind of attitude. And it's just so sad, because it could have been easily a 10 out of 10 movie, but the virtue signal stuff got in the way.
I don't necessarily disagree. I loved the angle of reaching out and trying to form that connection.
Yeah, but it's also, think about who's coming up with that storyline of reaching out, because the things that they reach out for, or reach out about, it just doesn't make any fucking sense, because it's just leftoid virtue signals.
I just thought that it was very rushed at the end.
Yep.
You have her going into Peter's mind, seeing Aunt May's statements, and then she decides, you know what, I want to be the better person, which was a good start.
I think they made a really flashy movie, and then we're like, all right, how do we end this?
I just feel like that ending was strange.
What I liked was in Arrow, when Oliver finally vanquishes Deathstroke to the island, they bring him back in season 5, and at that point the Mirakuru is out of his system, and he's horrified by all the things that he did while he was under its influence, and Oliver gives him a chance to actively work towards redemption rather than just staying in prison. I mean, they never explain why he's still so jacked, even though he's been living in a prison underground until...
It's okay.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
He just squats in the cell and, lifts the bed. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But that's the point, right? It's like they understood, even in a CW show, that the character needs to feel some remorse. And even though he was captured and turned in, of course, if you think about it, Argus is a bit like Damage Control.
Yes.
I mean, that or... I guess Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. But the point is it's the same thing. It's a prison that can hold him. But her turning herself in would have been so much. And I wonder if some of these, they got carried away with, the anonymity of the character. Because a lot of the truly villainous stuff is before he knows who she is.
Well, they wanted that emotional reveal, even though most of the people I know that knew anything about this movie already knew that Jean Grey was going to be in it. Like, what the fuck are they doing? You can't do an emotional reveal like that in today's movies, in today's society. It just doesn't work. Unless it's a real one. If you're doing it as a fucking, trying to make people feel something, it doesn't work. If you're doing it as it actually makes sense for the story, literally could have just removed that from the story and it would not have changed the movie at all. If you can do that, then it doesn't need to be in the movie.
Right.
And then it was like afterwards, then they have to immediately start walking it back and finding a way to make the character. And that doesn't happen right away. Like there's still plenty of times where she is Jean Grey and it's Sadie Sink and it's not just the.
Yeah, why doesn't she just mind hop through damage control and then to who she wants and then get the information she's looking for? Well, it's because she was actively making the decision to cause as much chaos as possible because she wanted people to regret the decisions that they had made. She wanted the people at damage control to sort of feel her wrath.
But she also had a particular issue with Peter Parker because she couldn't get into his mind,
right? And
she was like really, really sadistic during those scenes. I don't like. Let me see if I can. I grabbed a bunch of reactions.
Yeah, unnecessarily
of people
so.
Who have their critiques of this, but there was one in particular from.
The pains of having 50 tabs open and unfortunately needing them all.
I keep my tabs incredibly organized. I use tab groups, and if I have to have different tabs open, that don't fit in those groups, I make a whole new browser instance with new tabs. Or new tab groups. I keep all of my shit organized. All of my files are organized on my system. It's not a mess over here. I might have OCD or autism or something. Not diagnosed, and I'm not diagnosing myself. So if any of that's true, then oh well, I'm living my life.
From Thorius Unlimited, because this one is a little bit overlooked. It says, there's an overlooked moment in Spider-Man Brand New Day when Peter apologizes to MJ for kissing her while she was mind-controlled by Jean. He thought MJ had been in her right mind and he had the green light, but when he realized she wasn't, he immediately knew that she had been taken advantage of. In other words, Peter understood that this was wrong, which means that the movie understood that Jean's actions were messed up. The fact that Peter felt the need to apologize for something that wasn't even his fault because he was taken advantage of too, but Jean felt no need to account for that or any of the other bad things that she did, up to and including getting an innocent old man run over by a car and putting countless other people in danger.
Yeah, women, they can't take accountability and people just let them get away with shit. There are memes about it. There are Facebook groups about it.
Danger. Only for the movie to gloss over all of that stuff like...
Caleb Hammer's latest episode, there's a woman that legit is like this, where she can be weird and creepy and stalk men and stuff, but that's not a problem. It's only a problem if men do that exact same behavior.
It doesn't matter anyways. Says a lot about the character assassination that happens here.
Yeah, I mean, it is true because he does apologize even though he was a victim of this as well.
Also, there's something that one of my favorite nitpicks that people have is it's like me when I watch Superman pick up my car and throw it across Metropolis only to miss during a battle, and then they're like, I gotta buy a new car now. Like,
we need Avengers insurance if you live in New York. Yeah. Their destruction is crazy.
So, violates MJ and Peter's consent, relishes in torturing Peter, kills an old construction worker, throws MJ off a building which could have seriously hurt her, traumatizes the Hulk for life. That's not morally gray. That's a villain.
Yeah.
Sean Chandler, I like Sean Chandler's takes a lot. He's very measured. Says, if you have issues with the morality... somebody said, nothing proves the MCU fans have baby brains than the idea that a character can't be a hero after a villain origin. And he says... That's not him that said that. That's this person he's responding to. He says, if you have issues with the morality of Sadie Sink's character in the movie ethics, it's because you have a baby brain. Obviously, because babies and children are well known for debating morals and ethics, these responses are getting more condescending while making less and less.
Yeah.
Yep.
This one from Mahler, which I really like, because this person says, okay, but real talk. This is in relation to the guy getting hit by the cab.
Yeah.
It says, okay, but real talk. He probably had it coming. She knows your entire life the moment she takes over your body. She saw something. And he says, we have now reached the they had it coming part of the murder hobo mind rape discourse.
Yeah. I wish that they had taken it farther. I wish that they had established her as either causing more damage and causing more chaos and being just more evil, even though she is quite unhinged in this. And then you actually know that she
My
is...
biggest qualm with her other than the, kiss scene, but actually with Jean Grey, not just that MJ thing that was fucking stupid. The Punisher thing, like, whenever she takes over the Punisher, how is that not... was she just not pushed out immediately? I don't think that should have worked like that. I don't think that she should have been allowed to mind rape the Punisher like that. It just seems so ridiculous, because he's so dead set on, killing criminals, being traumatized by his family being murdered.
Is in like the long haul for a redemption. But I had reviewed the movie with Mahler on FNT last week. Our opinions are kind of different. I know that he has a lot of criticisms with the movie. Completely fair. I don't think it's a perfect film, but I still enjoyed the movie as a whole. I thought that it was pretty great just because Peter was great. His journey was spot on. I enjoyed the different...
I think that it's in the top 10 MCU movies, honestly.
Tones of the beginning when he is like in this deep depression and you see all of this time passing and him maturing and really seeing how his decision to give up his previous life and his friends happen versus the end where he finally takes a stand and says, yeah, I just can't live this way anymore, and nobody should be forced to live that way anymore. I enjoyed it.
I did too, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Jean Grey was a bit of a misfire.
And again, like I said,
she's such a cool character and she has so much possibility, and obviously they're going to use her a lot going forward. Sadie Sink is a multi-year, multi-film deal, so we're going to see her quite a bit, especially if the rumors are true about after the multiverse saga. It's going to be the mutant saga.
I'm for it.
We've got our Emma Frost as well, but
as long as they don't wokeify it, as long as they get away from the woke shit, but it's still Disney, so yeah. I can tell you that I'm not going to be paying for it. Yo ho, yo ho.
And like I said, it is proof that what really matters is how, what the movie leaves you feeling in a lot of ways. Because you can overlook a lot. And I'm one of those people. Like, I'm not the nitpicker with stuff when I watch movies. Like, for the most part.
Well, nitpicker, you almost, made me think you were saying something else.
It's like people will point out critiques afterwards, and they're totally valid. Like, they'll point out inconsistencies in the story. And I'm like, I didn't notice it, or that didn't bother me. Those things usually don't.
Walking out of the theater, it matters if you enjoyed yourself and you got entertainment value. I walked out of the theater and said, I'm going to rewatch that soon. And I definitely will.
I probably won't.
A movie doesn't have to be perfect.
I'll watch it if I'm doing a Spider-Man marathon or something. I'm not going to include it in an MCU marathon. I do that every once in a while, but I stop at Endgame.
In order to walk out of a theater feeling fulfilled. I think that over the years, us comic book fans and superhero fans have definitely had a rough time. Yep. And while I still don't think this movie was perfect, I still think that it was better than a lot of the content we've been getting recently.
I'm still eating good as a Spider-Man fan when it comes to the movies, at least. They still haven't really... They haven't got me on the cartoons. Still my favorite cartoons. Just, they got absolutely fucking destroyed. Like Spider-Man Unlimited, Spectacular Spider-Man. It's just so rough to be a Spider-Man cartoon enjoyer. And the latest video game. Yeah, I love Spider-Man video games, but I was out on that gay slop.